morning, my friends, and welcome to another edition of the Renew Podcast. I am your host, Kristen Andre. With me in the hot seat today, as always, not always, but as most of the time, is the marvelous Miss Mendoza.
Morning.
How you doing this morning, my friend?
Good. How are you?
Good. We got a big day today.
I'm excited. It's going to be a good day.
We got a lot. You got a lot of Kristen today because we've got the podcast
That's
now.
Okay. I love me some
We've
Kristen.
got a live event here in Atlanta this evening for our Renew community, which is super
great.
exciting. That's always fun.
Yeah.
And they're getting bigger. And we've got some cool new people coming today.
Yes.
And we've got an awesome speaker, Miss Erin Newman.
Yeah. She's been on the podcast before.
She has been on the podcast. So
Yeah.
we're talking about mindset, money, and motivation is our theme for June. So as we wrap up June, because I can't believe it's already the end of June. We're halfway through the year.
Thursdays, July 1st.
Right? We are halfway through the year.
Yeah. Wow.
So now's a good time to talk about today's topic, which is where you find your motivation and your excitement and your enthusiasm, because a lot of people have that naturally. Some people fake it till they make it.
Yeah.
But a lot of people I'm seeing, we're halfway through 2021 after mostly skipping 2020, right? Or just spending it in a cave or in a hole somewhere.
I still have to reconfigure dates in my head.
I think we lost an entire year. But with that, I'm seeing some people be motivated, and I'm seeing a lot of people struggling to find motivation. Because it's almost like there's a lull from last year. They're still kind of in a 2020 coma.
Yeah.
It's like that food coma that just doesn't go away. It's the 2020 coma. And a lot of people have come out of it well, but there's still a good number of y'all out there who are having a bit of a problem finding the motivation.
Yeah.
Are you guilty of that or no?
No, I have motivation.
So where does yours come from?
I was thinking about this before when we were talking about this topic. Music does a lot for me.
Right?
Music does a lot for me, depending on what mood I'm in, what I think I need. I can even tell it at Orange Theory. If they put on the right song, my power walking goes from 3.5 to 4 on speed, okay? That's all I'm saying.
All right, so for those of you guys that don't go to Orange Theory, because I did Orange Theory for a brief while, because my brother was obsessed with it. He was 87 million workouts in a row. And he went to my Orange Theory. And he was so well known at the other Orange Theories that he went to mine. They're like, oh. And they looked at me. I'm like, don't even think. His power walk, what does it go up to? Like a 10 or 12? It goes to 12.
The incline, I think you can go up to 15.
You can go, okay. And then the speed, 12 miles per hour is a 5-minute mile.
Yes.
Full incline, 12 miles per hour was his all out. Right?
Okay, well,
I'm sitting there clicking along at 3.5. I'd get to 4 and I'd be like, yes. But you're right. The music is what provides them. His was internal motivation. He would do that no matter what. He was just trying to beat people. He was just trying to be the BMOC, the cool man in the Orange Theory.
Yeah. No.
If that's a thing.
Yeah.
But so what kind of music motivates you? Does it depend on your mood, or can you just...
It does. It does. Sometimes Drake does it for me. Drake does a lot for me.
That's a whole nother topic we may have to get into. I was unaware that Drake had this effect on you.
Because his lyrics hit.
All right, I'm a lyrics person for sure. I do like the music and the beat, but I am definitely a lyrics type of gal.
That's why I never ask for help. I do it for other people, and I do it for myself.
Really
or something like
should.
that. I don't know.
Think rapping is your skill set.
It's not.
Girl, I appreciate it.
But he has this lyric where he's like, that's why I never ask for help. I do it for others, and I do it for myself. I was like, oh, that's good.
Okay.
See, I'm already motivated. Listen to this. And I can't even rap.
But he doesn't ask for help. I'm a little, Drake, if you're listening, I'm a little concerned. You should probably ask for help on occasion.
Well,
because sometimes we find motivation in other people, which I'm going to talk about.
But that is about the mood I'm in. Okay. If I'm like, all right, I got to jump in and get this done, and ain't nobody going to do it but me, that's when I put that song.
Well, and I feel like music can take us to a bunch of different places, good or bad. And sometimes, I have these set playlists, because you guys know with my 75 Hard, I'm walking.
I just wanted to say I'm really surprised that Tony's not in there.
Tommy's going to be commenting on Drake in a minute. I can tell you.
I'm really
he's
surprised
going to call you out on this. He must still be sleeping. I don't really know. But I think with Drake, I mean, there's any kind of music that can take you the mood anywhere you want to go, right? And I think sometimes I like have my playlist, and sometimes I leave it to chance, because I had to go. You guys know Lisa, my coach that I work with, when my head needs to get on straight. I have my session, and I might have had an emergency sesh with Lisa. Was it last week or the week before? I think, because I've had a couple. You guys know I stay pretty motivated. I stay upbeat. I don't air my dirty laundry other than
you stay 100, Kristen.
I stay 100, Kristen. But it's I don't air my dirty laundry other than, or my bad stuff other than with my grasp group, my core inner circle. Yeah. So you guys know what I've been dealing with the last couple weeks. However, I was like, okay, I had my emergency sesh with Lisa, and I go out and I do my walk. I'm like, yeah, speaking of lyrics, I said, I'm going to just power through, and I turn on my playlist. Well, the day after talking with Lisa, I was like, I'm going to just hit shuffle on my playlist.
Okay.
And it was hysterical because it was like God was like, oh, you going to hit shuffle? Let me just tell you what you need to hear with all the songs that came on.
Okay.
100%. Everything that Lisa and I had talked about came to me through these songs.
Okay.
The song, and I'll share with you later because you know the sitch. So I'll share with you later the songs that came on.
Okay,
I know, it's a little saucy. It's personal stuff, so I'm not going to share with the broad audience. Maybe someday when we down the road. But they were spot on. And what was crazy is like I left it to chance, and it was like God telling me, okay, I need you to hear this lyric. I need you to hear this song. I need you to do this. I'm like, okay. Got the message. Yeah. You got it.
Yeah.
But those were things, they motivated me to, even though it was random, I nothing's random, random, but not random.
Yeah.
They motivated me to follow through with what I need to follow through, to understand why things were happening the way they were, to get out of my head and my funk and be able to say, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do. Because, sometimes we work with people and we work with coaches and therapists and everything, and we know what we need to do, but we don't do it. And so we've got to have this motivation that gets it. For me, it was the songs going, all right, I got it. I've heard this message 87 times. And I had this conversation with a client yesterday, and he was getting aggravated. I don't think he listens to the show. We're not sure. So we won't call him out by name. And he should be working. So if you are listening to the show, you know who you are. Get back to work and pick up the phone. But I was calling him out on some stuff, and you could tell like he wasn't motivated to do himself. So I'm trying to do it, but sometimes like people just don't want to do things.
Yeah.
They don't get motivated.
Yeah.
And we got to get motivated to do the things we know we need to do.
Yeah.
I'm not saying get motivated to, clean your bathrooms, because you may not want to do that. That's just things you have to. But I'm talking about the things that you're saying are important to you, your goals, personally, professionally, financially, whatever it is, those things that are important.
Well, sometimes it's kind of like the saying, remember why you started. Like, why, because I think we can do that sometimes where we're doing something that we once enjoyed, but we don't anymore. So one or two things you can go back and say, well, why did I started this? Like, at the beginning, what is something that I do enjoy about it, or why did I enjoy it? Or maybe it's time to do something new.
Well, and it's one of the things is I think the why is important, because if we know why we're doing something, it's easier to stick to it, and it's easier to stay motivated around it.
Yeah.
And we had, I'll talk about this. I have on, for those of you guys watching the live stream, I've got on my shirt this morning, and I'm going to read you what it says because it's in cursive. And if any of you millennials are listening, you probably can't read cursive anyway. Not the millennials. The Gen Z can't read cursive. But it says, a woman alone has power. Together we have impact. And I wore this shirt today because, one, we were talking about this topic in motivation. And yesterday I had a very motivating afternoon. So a group of my girlfriends, we all own businesses, run our respective businesses, vastly different fields. And we're, as good of friends as we all are, we're very different. We bring different stuff to the table. But we have a strategy session once a quarter. We do this quarterly. We've done it for probably about a year. We started pre-pandemic, so we've done it probably a year and a half now. And it's great because we come together, and sometimes we need motivation from others, and we need the support and the input from others, because after a while, especially when things are going good, you're like, all right, it's fine. You know, and I
Yeah.
think we slip into fine. And you mentioned knowing your why. Well, one of the girls, so it's my friends, Lisa, Tran, Lynn, Quavi, myself. We've been on the, a couple have been on the podcast, but we've been doing this for a while. And one of them yesterday, I won't say who, was just struggling like, I don't know, you know, I'm good. Business is good. And we kept pushing her and we kept saying, why, you know, in terms of what she wanted to do. And it's really a matter of figuring out what motivates you.
Yeah.
And, you know, for some of us, we get into this rut where we're just doing for the sake of doing. And that's a pretty cruddy way to live life or to run your business or to exist with your family. I think we just do to do. And so many of us are lacking something that really, truly motivates us.
When you bring up another good point of surrounding yourself with like-minded people who are on the same level, the same cloud, if you will, because they know you and they're going to see you and what you're doing in a different light, but they can often bring you encouragement. Like, I'm like that. I could just sit down and have a conversation, like, you know, with you, and we're talking about things, we're talking about business, and I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't think of it that way, or, you know, a new idea, and then I'm motivated to go do that thing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's another way too, that just surrounding yourself by people who are motivated.
Well, and they don't, and the cool thing is, if you surround yourself with the right people, the people that lift you up, the people that challenge you. Now, we challenge each other too, for sure. Like, if one of us is slacking off, or if one of us, you know, isn't in line with what we're trying to do, we definitely challenge each other, in a good way, because we do know that we care.
Well, that in itself can be a motivator.
Yeah, for sure.
You know,
but one, you know, part of it is figuring out what it is you really want. And I mean, this a little bit off topic, but kind of not, because I think for a lot of people, the challenge with getting motivated and staying motivated is they're really trying to get and stay motivated about something that, in the grand scheme of things, they don't really care about. You know, it just doesn't matter. It's either whether it's a goal or, you know, a relationship or whatever. It's like, yeah, they're just existing. And I feel like it's hard to be motivated and maintain motivation when you're just existing.
Yeah. When
things aren't really the way that you want them.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think first and foremost, we've got to figure out what it is that motivates us.
Yeah.
And then once, well, you know, not who, but like what? Like, what do we want to be motivated about?
Yeah.
So if y'all are listening and you hate your jobs, go find a new job. Yeah. Start a new business. If you don't like the clients that you're working with, if they're not your people, go find new ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, I may have repeated not your people or not your person several times at the planning session yesterday when it comes to business. Because, you know, that's a big thing for me. It's hard to be motivated when you're surrounding yourself with people that don't energize you.
Yeah. Well, you just have to, again, that constant reminder of, well, why am I feeling this way about this thing? Well, maybe it's because you're not supposed to be doing that thing or be using time on that person.
Yes, because I've said several times that if you look at your calendar and you've got somebody on there or something on there, a meeting or an event or whatever, that you're not looking at it and going, man, I'm excited about this. You need to really evaluate, because it's hard to maintain motivation if we're constantly doing things and in front of people that just aren't meant for us.
Yeah.
And at the same time, if you can look at your people in your calendar and say, man, this is exciting. I'm excited. Like we were talking about today, I get to come in here, I get to go home. I have a strategy session with a new client who's awesome. And she's a photographer and we're old friends and it's just fun, right? And then tonight we get to have our event, which is cool. So it's like a win-win-win day. I've got another client in there too in the middle of it who's just crushing it this year. He's doing phenomenal.
Nice.
Young, which is awesome. You know, he's in his 20s, lives in LA. It's just the cool client. So this is a good day, right? It's easy to stay motivated on days like that.
Yeah.
But on days where they're cruddy, where your kids are yelling at you or your spouse is being
there's Drake.
A weenie, you turn to Drake. That's what I'm talking about, is what do we turn to?
Yeah.
What are the things that we can do and we can turn to kind of feel better almost?
Yeah. I mean, I even do that, you know, even in the things that you don't enjoy, the things that you have to do. So like you mentioned cleaning the bathroom.
Yes.
I do not
Do you turn on Drake when you're cleaning the bathroom?
Often.
Okay.
But I will also I could turn on other things like
Dolly. You should try Dolly.
I've listened
Everything
to Dolly.
is better with
I've
Dolly.
listened to Dolly. Poison every now and then. Like Poison is great for putting up dishes.
I may or may not have hung out with them a few times, but we
Did you know Brett Michaels?
I don't know. All right, I don't know him, but back in the day, all right, I will say back in the day, we went to a lot of concerts in college, and when you're with a group of sorority girls, you always get to go hang out. It's fun. But they were, and I have a lot of musician friends. So Sean, my ex-husband, opened for them a few years ago. His band, they have this thing called, they have this thing called Rocklahoma, right? So Rocklahoma is in Oklahoma, shocking.
Yes, okay,
and they
yes.
bring back these, I can't remember how many years ago, he would have to tell me. I feel like it was more than 10 years ago, because I don't think we were living in Atlanta yet. But we might have been. They played Rocklahoma, and they opened for Brett. So it was when Brett was on his solo career. And it was right after he did that TV show. Remember the Bed of Roses or Rock of Roses? Something with
Rock
roses
of Love,
in it.
yes.
Rock of Love, yes. I thought there were roses. Did he give out roses? Or
He gave out backstage passes, Kristen. Come on.
Of course it did. Of course he did. Well, he was making very poor choices on that show, and I distinctly remember telling Sean, "You tell Brett if you get him
great
cornered."
choices.
He did not. Those girls were, not to speak ill of another woman, but they were idiots.
Well,
they
TV.
just were. I'm sitting here going, "Oh, shocking! It didn't work out with Buffy, who can't make a coherent sentence."
That's fantastic.
I sound terrible, but judge me if you will. It was bad.
I mean, I'm just saying,
It was
nothing but a
bad.
good time is great for dishes.
I love Poison. I think they're fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not, they're not quite. I like all 80s rock and 80s metal is like Poison, Guns N' Roses, Steelheart. These are all before you were born. These were great bands.
Yeah.
Skid Row, all those things.
Yeah.
That's pump up music. That'll motivate you. Anybody listening, I don't know. All right, Tommy's in now. Tommy, we mentioned you earlier. We missed you at the beginning. We're waiting for you to chime in. Yes, Whitney's eyes did light up when I said Poison. It's for sure. Or did my eyes light up? But
Yes.
I think I like Poison. They're very good. But this is a motivated thing. You mentioned music at the start of it. Yours was Drake. Mine is 80s rock. I'm telling you. Matt and I may have had some concerts, maybe us singing 80s rock. There might have been alcohol involved, but we both like 80s rock. You can't go wrong with that.
I mean, my hair loves 80s rock, so.
Well, I think you do have the curly do. If we could, poof it out. I'll teach you how to do the hairspray blow dryer thing where you can,
get the little pick and.
But you know what? We were all motivated back then. And here's what's crazy: the 80s was 40 years ago. For those of you Gen Xers listening, 40 years ago. If that doesn't make you feel old, I don't know what does. That's okay. I love it. So 40 years ago, we had motivation that's still working with us today. So I'm going to stick with music. I think that's good. And I don't care what your music is. It can be 80s rock. It could be Drake. It could be, polka music. I don't care. But find something that you can really get you out of it. Because part of motivation is being able to snap out of the negative thoughts.
Yeah.
Like
100%.
Lisa calls them, when I'm working with Lisa, she calls them the zoomies. When I get the zoomies in my head. And the zoomies is where, and if you're listening, you can comment and let us know if I'm describing this right. The zoomies are where, you get something in your head and you just go down that spiral.
Yeah.
So, and you can go from, I'm 5 minutes late to work, and I talk about this in the book, all the way down to, I have lost my job and am now living on the streets, right? We can we can spiral down with the zoomies really quick. But one of the things she was working on with me, and that we've worked on, in our sessions together, is you can also zoom me up. You can spiral up. So it's just a matter of figuring out which zoomies you're going to allow into your head, which is where motivation comes in. Whether it's music that changes your mood, whether it's a conversation with a friend, whether it's a strategy session that changes the trajectory of your business. There's all kind of things we can do to motivate us to zoom you in the right direction.
So maybe that speaks to routine. I mean, do you think maybe being stuck in the same routine can also make you feel stuck in other areas of life or business? Like maybe it's just a simple change up in the way you're doing something that would. inspire something.
As a anally organized
Same.
Virgo.
This is why I'm asking you
yes,
this.
And I'm a Virgo, for those of you guys that are into astrology. I'm not overly into astrology, but if you look up Virgo, you're going to see my picture. Like, I'm very structured, very routine, which helps the strategy work I do really well, right? Because I can get people in a structure and I can create them. But if a structure is so rigid that there's no wiggle room, the structure becomes a cage. And kind of like with your friend group. If your friend group, and you've seen this quote, if your friend group doesn't support you, doesn't encourage you, doesn't lift you up, you don't have a circle, you have a cage. So I think we've got to look, when it comes to motivation, we've got to figure out, what do we have in place right now? And is it so rigid that we built a cage or walls or whatever around us? Right? I'm super good at building walls. Super good at building walls. Like, I have my little bitty circle that I let in, as extroverted as I appear. I will build a little wall around myself and protect it because of history, because of things that have happened. Yeah. So I think with that, you've got to understand, like, and truly evaluate, am I so structured or am I so closed off that I'm not allowing the right type of motivation in?
Yeah. That's good.
All right. So with that, let's talk about your friend group for a minute. Not your friend group, but just friend groups in general. Okay. And I'd love you guys that are listening in, because we got a number of people watching the live stream now. Let us know what motivates you, like, especially when it comes to your friends. Like, what is it about them? Like, with my group yesterday, our shirt wearing group, if you guys are following us, you can check out all of our business pages. They are linked on my personal Facebook page. But check them out, because one of the things that's so motivating to me and was cool about every time we have this session is we are allowing those, we're not so rigid. Like, we have structures. We all go in there and we're very organized. And there were several times yesterday where somebody would say, what if you thought about it this way? Or have you ever thought this? And it just allowed different perspectives in that we wouldn't have had ourselves. Yeah. Because our businesses, like I mentioned, our businesses are crazy different from one another. I'm probably the more structured strategy person. Quavi works a lot with over 50. We've got an artist, Lynn's an artist. Lisa is in MLM, and Tran is a producer, video and TV producer. So it's cool to kind of get these different perspectives, especially somebody like me who's so structured that they'll challenge me on the creativity piece, where I'm like, I don't understand creativity. I don't have those bones. But that's where I know I need to surround myself with people like that. Yeah. Because they motivate, They get me excited about the stuff that I'm not. Here's the thing is, if we're not naturally good at something, it's hard to get excited about it, because none of us want to go, I'm excited about the thing I suck at. We just don't want to do that. Yeah. And a lot of times we don't want to admit we suck at it.
This is true.
To get people around us that are good at it that we can kind of lean into a little bit is a good thing. Yeah. So I think your circle will help motivate you externally and internally. Yes. I feel like music will help motivate you. Yes. Structure a little bit can, as long as it's not a cage. What else motivates you, Miss Mendoza?
I like learning.
Okay.
I'm kind of a nerd. Like learning.
I don't think that's a nerdy thing. I really don't.
I was always that way in school. No, I recently signed up for masterclass.
I know. We had this discussion. I like it.
And I'm enthralled in Chris Voss's lessons. Stuff? Yes. Yeah. It is fantastic. That's what I was doing with my free time on Sunday. It was like watching these episodes and taking notes. It's so good.
It's really, they have great stuff. For those of you guys who don't follow master classes, they pull in like the coolest people. I have a membership to it as well. Mia started doing some of them last week because they have a bunch of people on comedy writing and things like that. So she started doing them as well. It's a great way to learn. You can go in and type in any. Sarah Blakely had a great one on entrepreneurship in there. Chris Voss has some. There's all kind of people. But I think learning's great. I think that's a good motivator, because then you can go to the source of the people who are crushing it and pick up all their tips.
And again, it's new ideas. It's new ways of learning. I mean, like, in negotiating, it's true. He says everything you do in life is a negotiation. If there's something you want, it's a negotiation.
Yes.
Sales, that's a negotiation, right? Coming to some sort of agreement. That's all requires negotiating. And it's just new ways of thinking about something. To your point, someone that's already crushing, that particular area and knows what they're talking about. But I was over here, I was like, this is fantastic. And I was taking notes, and that was motivating. Just learning something new, a new approach to something that, I've been doing for years, you might say.
Do you think people that are lacking in motivation, because we're talking about ways to get motivated, do you think people that lack motivation, is it just the way they are, or do you think it's just because they've settled in kind of like a humdrum existence? That's what I think it's I think they're just like, they're going through the motions.
Yeah. I think it can be both.
Okay.
I think it can be both. We recently went through this activity with the Liger team on looking at a great organization here local called Real Experiences.
Okay.
And so they go through and they take your top 10 favorite movies and ask you certain questions about them. And it essentially reveals things about you. It kind of...
Oh, yeah. Mine just totally reveals everything.
And so kind of a interesting revelation that came out of that, because you kind of get in touch with your feels, right?
Yeah.
And so what I drew out of that and the character that I picked was that I have every reason in the world to be bitter, but I don't want to be.
Okay.
I don't want to be bitter. I don't want to, wind up like relatives of my past, or that's the way that I view it. Now, you can be on the other side of that, and maybe, you don't want to, but you don't see the way out. I mean, like, part of that is other things can motivate you, but you have to decide you are willing to be motivated.
Okay. I like that. And it's a choice. It's a choice. Because some of you guys, probably not you guys listening, because you guys are way smarter than the average public. Let's just,
because you're listening to the show.
Because you're listening.
So.
And we talk about growth stuff. So if you aren't into growth stuff, you're probably tuned us out by now.
Yeah.
Which is fine. Not our people. But for people that don't want to grow, it's just not their thing. Some people, I think, are content with being unmotivated or miserable. And that's cool.
Yep.
They can do that. They're just not my people. And I don't want them in my circle. No offense. Love y'all. Go do your thing. Keep your negativity away.
Yeah.
But if you're going to stay positive and you're going to stay motivated, it's a conscious act. And it's not always easy to do. I want to say that. Like, it is not always easy. I have a very good friend that has dealt with, she and I were having this conversation that dealt with a death of a spouse. And and we were having this conversation. It's like, why does all this keep happening? Why? I mean, the stuff that outside looking in, you're like, oh my gosh, she's, got this great life and blah, blah. But when you get to know her and hear her story, you're like, man, you got every reason to be pissed off and questioning things and wondering why and not being motivated. But that's not the choice she made.
Yep.
You're like, any one of the things that have happened in this woman's life would have been devastating to so many people, but she made a choice to move forward. Same thing with one of my sister-in-laws. She, had, multiple, wanted children, couldn't have them, multiple miscarriages, tons of death, lost both parents, lost a sister, lost a brother-in-law, all within short order. And you're just sitting there going, man, that's a lot. But the choice she made, was to live and to be happy and to be motivated and to understand that the experiences make us who we are, but they don't define who we are.
Yeah.
So we all have a choice that we can get, we can become motivated, get motivated, stay motivated.
Yeah.
But it is a conscious choice, and you have to redo it all the time. You have to renew your motivation pretty much daily.
100%.
Sometimes on the hour. Because, I did when I called Lisa a couple weeks ago, and I was like, I texted her, and I was like, she's like, yeah, we can talk next week. And I kind of explained what happened. She goes, oh, yeah, call me. We jumped on that call quick, because it was like, sometimes things happen where we're like, I need to pick me up. And that's what I'm talking about, is we all need to know. Like, I know for me, it's my very close circle music is, like you mentioned, is a good thing. We've got to know what motivates us, because we're going to have those days where we kind of need to snap out of it.
Yeah.
Because I'm tired of some of y'all just hanging around in misery for a couple of days, because that's just not fun.
Well, it's kind of like that saying, a thing in motion stays in motion. A thing that's static stays static.
Yeah.
If you're
It's kind of one of Newton's laws.
Yeah. That Newton man knew what he was talking
Newton
about.
was a smart dude.
But if you're sitting on the couch in front of Netflix, not that there's anything wrong with that, just follow my example. If you're sitting on the couch in front of Netflix, okay, this is a great example. I'll put it back on me. If I know I have work to get done on a Saturday,
yes,
I'm going to have to do that first thing when I get up. Yes. Because if I get all comfortable in my PJs and on the couch with my coffee and my Netflix, I'm not going to move for the rest of the day.
Yep.
It can be the same with motivation. If you allow yourself to sit in negativity for too long, it's going to be that much harder to get yourself out of it. But if you're constantly feeding motivation and listening to uplifting things or things that make you feel strong or surrounding yourself with people who have new ideas, then it's going to be easier for you to stay motivated.
I think it is. We've got to stay, and we've got to think about what the motivation is, because sometimes I feel like we obligate ourselves to too much, and that's why we have trouble finding the motivation. Like I have, I'm really, as I mentioned, structured, and I have my list of things I need to do. And sometimes when I don't get them done, like I tell my clients, if you've got things you need to do, you can move them, but not remove them. Meaning, like, you can squish them around where you're going to get them done during the week, but you just can't take them off.
Yeah.
But sometimes we get to a point where if I'm working with somebody and they've had the same thing hanging over their head for 2 to 3 weeks and they haven't done it, I'm like, take it off your list. It's not important to you, because if it were important, you'd get it done.
Yeah.
So I challenge people a lot, and I challenge myself a lot on this, is don't commit to something unless you're going to do it. You know, sometimes we've like, oh, I've got so much to do. And, you know, I think we should do an episode on this, because I'm hearing more and more buzz about it now. We're moving away from the hustle culture. We had the hustle culture for so long. And, you know, I'm a big Gary Vee fan. And, you know, he's always talked about hustle. But we're getting away from that, because sometimes I feel like it was this badge of honor that we're like busy, 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 busy. Yep. And it's hard to maintain motivation when we're busy, busy, busy with crap that has no relevance to who we are and what we're doing. Yeah. And that's hard to be motivated to do that. But if we can really focus on, okay, here's what's important to me, here's what I want to do, and here's why, then the motivation's easier. We can pop on Drake, we can do whatever, we can call our bestie and just get pumped up. Yeah. But it's hard to do that when there's this crap stuff that really, in the grand scheme of things, doesn't matter. Yeah. So maybe that's part of it. Maybe part of it is figuring out, I don't know, what do you guys think? I think that may be part of it, is figuring out what's worth getting all jazzed about. Yeah. Finishing my workout. Well, and finishing your workout. All right, so we'll go back, and you guys probably tired of hearing me talk about my 75 hard. But today is day 65.
You only have 10 days
I have 10
left,
days
yo.
left. Let's talk about motivation.
Fantastic.
Because I am taking a little trip. This week is 4th of July coming up. I'm taking a little trip up to New York to see my daughter. I'm taking the other girls with me. We're having an Andre girl trip up to New York. And I told them, I'm like, I'll be darned if 10 days prior to the end of this, I'm going to fall off the wagon. So your little booties can sit in the hotel, but Mama will be out at 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. doing my walk. Because I am so close. Yep. But the motivation for this, for me, it started as, and motivation may change. So maybe this is a good point. I did this because I wanted to make a change. I wanted to do something different. And I saw results in other people. So I was initially motivated, like, oh man, my friend Becca did awesome, looks phenomenal. Her and her sister Leanne. I was like, okay, I'm going to do that. That was my motivation. I want to do what they did. And then then my motivation switched a little bit. When I had a couple people, namely my brother, say, I don't think you can do that. Well, the quickest way to get me to do something is to say they don't think I can. So my motivation turned to I'll show you, right? And then I started seeing some results. I'm like, oh, I like the way these pants are fitting. I can fit in this top. I can wear this bikini. I can do whatever. Then I was like, okay. Then the motivation became like, I'm kind of liking the results. Now I'm motivated because I'm like, oh, I'm almost at the end and I can have my glass of wine. So whatever, I know,
kinda.
You're getting in your feels. I forgot my water. I think the motivation it changes over time, and that's okay because it's the same thing. For this thing, I'm 65 days into the 75. It's the same thing. So what I would say is, my point with that is motivation is different to everybody, and it can change on a dime. Follow it. And if you need new motivation, seek new motivation. If you need a new why, seek a new why. But do it for the right reasons. And Wendy just commented, busy's it. Yes, Wendy, busy is a 4-letter word, and we throw it around and use it as an excuse. Oh, girl, cannot even tell you. It's true. It is, it's a pet peeve of mine, Wendy. I mean, you hit on that because we've got to do the thing. We all do the things that are important to us. And that's what we're talking about with motivation is how to execute on the things that are important to you. Busy is never an excuse. I know a lot of people who are busy. I'm busy, but it's important. And I've called that out. Maybe this is why I remain single, because I've called that out to somebody before. It's like, oh, I'm really busy. Okay. And I say, and my response is always like, you make time for what's important.
It's true.
If that's not me, that's cool. But if that's not your kids, that's cool. If that's not your business, that's cool. Whatever it is, but own it. I mean, you're right, Wendy, because we do throw it around and use it as an excuse. And it's not an excuse. It's just because you don't want to own up to the fact that whatever you're too busy for is not important.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys know that have been listening for a while. I am not a gym person. I'm not an exercise person. It was, if I exercised 2 times a year, I was doing good. I've now fit in 2 times a day, 45 minutes to at least minimum 45 minutes, 2 times a day for 65 days in a row. And my schedule is nuts, right? But I 100% of the time make time for what's important to me. My daughter wanted to go to the pool the other day. Okay, took her to the pool. Did things get shifted? Yep. But I was motivated to do the things that were important. Like, spend some time with her, work on my tan. But I think, let's talk about for a minute, as we wrap is I feel like we all have an opportunity to get real about what's important. I think that's the first thing. You're never going to maintain motivation for something that you're lukewarm about.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And this is why businesses fail. This is why relationships fail. This is why parenting and anything like that, this is why it fails, because we're not excited and motivated around it. And sometimes you need external. Now, I'm hoping you have internal motivation. If your why is that strong, you should have internal motivation. But sometimes days get tough, and that's where we need Drake or our girlfriends or anything like that to step in.
I'm missing you my playlist.
I know. I'm going to have a new playlist. And drop some comments. Those of you guys listen. I'm curious on the music thing because I agree with the music. Because we can't always get our girlfriends on the phone. We can't always... we usually can. We can call a lifeline. So I'm curious on 2 things. One, I'd love you guys listening live, or if you're listening to the replay, drop it in the comments. Let us know what your pump up song is, your motivation song. This is where I was asked to give a theme song one time. I was doing a keynote and they're like, what's your intro song? And I didn't know. And I still don't have a good one. Mia suggested that it be Who Run the World, the Girls song by Beyonce, because I do so much with, women and executives and business owners. And I love that song. So I've used that one before.
Yeah.
It's a big pump up song. But I don't know what my theme song is. So I'm curious what you guys, all right. Wendy says, Wendy, Dancing Queen. I love that song. I do actually really like that song. That's a good one. I like it. But I think any of these that we can have pump up songs or things that we know change our mood instantly. I think that's a key, and all of us need to know what that song is for us.
I think about this way too much.
What is yours?
So
you have an entire playlist of them, don't you?
Well, so we have an activity like before we do a strategy session. That's what's your baseball walk up song?
Yes.
And I have 2. I have one that's like my general walk up, and then I have one when I'm getting ready to hit the game winning home run.
Nice.
And they're both very different tempos.
Okay.
But
what are they?
Do you want me to share them?
I do want
to
share.
Oh my goodness. Okay. All right. I didn't want to come off too cool. Everybody might be jealous, but so
the deal.
My regular walk up, like first inning,
okay,
is the guitar solo in Toto's Hold the Line.
Okay.
There's a guitar solo. It's amazing. That's like
you are so young for Toto. I love this. I'm just gonna start calling you Mia. Okay.
And then when I'm getting ready to hit the game-winning home run,
okay,
it's Kashmir.
Kashmir.
Led Zeppelin.
Oh,
it's really slow.
I'm not good with names. Yeah.
Da-na-na, da-na-na.
Oh, okay. I know that song. Yes.
And then you pachow.
And you pachow. We've got a pachow with everything. I'm going to work on my song. I'm open for suggestions. My song. I mean, I definitely like Girls. I mean, Beyonce. But maybe because it's my birthday twin. Beyonce is my birthday twin. So that could be why I'm connected to that song. There's a bunch of them though. Lynn says Toto rocks. Oh, Kashmir's her favorite too. Okay. So maybe we need
See you tonight, Lynn.
I'm going to that's right. Lynn will be here tonight. We might have to play that. Lynn, maybe we'll make a playlist for this evening.
For tonight.
We could do this. So those of you guys that are dropping in, I know Tommy's not local, so he'll be tuning in, hopefully, live streaming. But with that, I think we should make a playlist. Because we still have our friends. So I want you to make a playlist of your songs. I will commit to doing that. I have several on mine that work, but I'm open for suggestions because I'm really curious what you guys think, especially those of you guys that are commenting or people that tune in a lot. And I feel like you guys, even if I haven't met you in person, I feel like y'all kind of getting to know me a bit on the show. I'm curious what you guys think. My walk-up song, my motivation.
Oh, man.
My keynote song. I would love some suggestions as to what it might be. Be nice. I've had a bad couple of weeks, so let's keep it on the positive here. And then the second thing I want you guys to do, besides coming up with your walk-up song, is to come up with your people. Like I have mine. I know who I call exactly. And, Lynn, who just commented on, Lynn's the one that got us the shirts, our awesome shirts for those of you guys watching the video.
Yeah.
Lynn got us the shirt. So I know the people I call, and we kind of have, whether I'm calling them, texting them, I know the ones that are going to snap me. When my Zoomies go spiraling down, I know the ones who can flip my switch to get me thinking positive thoughts. Right?
Okay.
And I'm not talking the pacifying people. I'm not talking the ones that are just telling you crap just to tell you crap. Did you ever see that movie, He's Just Not That Into You?
Yes, it's been a while, but I know what you're talking about.
Okay. So in that,
Yes.
people are always like, they say that they condition us like, oh, it was, it was him, you're so, sometimes it's you, and that's okay. Right. But like the whole premise of that movie is the friends were telling, the girlfriends were giving her bad advice. They're like, oh, you're this and you're that. And it just wasn't accurate. And the guy friend of hers was the one that was brutally honest. Like, look, here's the deal. Here's what you did, and so we need those type of people. So I'm not talking about making your list of friends that are just going to pacify you with a bunch of lies.
Yeah.
If the ones that are like, oh, your hair looks fantastic, when it doesn't, those, you don't need those. Not yours. I wasn't talking about yours. When he's like grabbing her head here. But you know what I mean? You've got, which friends are being honest, because
that's true.
The people I want you to make your list of are the ones that you can call who are going to tell you like it is. And my rule of thumb with my close relationships with my clients is build them up, tear them down, leave them whole, right? So you're going to say something good like, Whitney, blah, blah, blah. You're saying all the good stuff. Then you give them the feedback and the constructive stuff they need, but you leave them whole. You end on a high. You build them back up before you send them out in the door to face this mean world we're in, right? So build them up, tear them down, make them whole, leave them whole. So I want you to find the people that can do that for you. So find your song. And find your people. Okay.
I dig it.
And yes, Tommy, I see this. I am going to make a mixtape because my teenager has a Walkman I could record things on. She has a record player, and she bought a Walkman too. She has a CD Walkman, and I think she has a tape one. We have some cassette tapes at our house.
Nice.
I might just make a mixtape, Tommy. I know you're throwing shade here. I see that. But I'm going to zoom me up and talk about the positive of the mixtapes. We are going to make a mixtape /
Tommy
playlist.
Likes throwing shade.
Maybe even a Spotify list for all the youngins listening.
That's true. Because then we could share it.
Yes.
I got some jazzy I like the old jazz. Can I put jazz favorites on there?
You can put whatever on your playlist you want.
Jeez Louise.
So I would love some ideas. And I would love to know.
She said,
love to know.
Elton John, I'm Still Standing. Well, Still Standing is the name of the song, but I have to sing it. I'm still standing.
I love Elton John. He's got some good stuff. Good stuff. I like that.
I have like a whole, my mix goes all over the place.
Yeah, it is. So that's your homework, ladies and gentlemen. And we would love you to keep commenting. I still have not seen a song for me. I'm going to need some suggestions because I don't want to have a playlist of one. I walk for a long time when I'm doing these exercises, and I really don't want to hear the same song on a loop. Although I still got to remind you guys what I said at the beginning. Sometimes hitting shuffle gives you the messages you need to hear. And I got to thank Miss Lisa Washington for that. But yeah.
I think I have a song I'm going to play you off air.
Because she knows the scoop. She's on the inside track of all the fun things happening in my world the last couple weeks.
This may be your download one, though. I don't know that they could play this at a conference when you're walking up on stage.
So we have your stage and walking up song, and we have your I'm really ticked off and go sit at home song to get you motivated.
Yeah.
But the main thing is motivation, is figuring out what it is that can snap you back into motivation, who it is that can challenge you to maintain your motivation, and more importantly, what you need to do for yourself when you know you seem to have lost it a little bit. So that is our message. I look forward to hearing the comments, look forward to your suggestions, and the marvelous Miss Mendoza. I will end with saying, and I know the shirt says a woman, but we alone have power, but together we have impact. So, Lynn, thank you for these shirts because I think they were fantastic and a great addition to our strategy session.
Yeah.
Miss Mendoza, thank you for being here.
Pleasure as always.
For those of you guys local to Atlanta, we hope to see you tonight at our Renew Community Live event here in the Liger Studios. And until next week, we will see you soon. Have a fantastic week and stay motivated.